Have you ever wondered if it's really possible to turn your life around completely? To go from living in the darkness of addiction, hopelessness, or even hatred to experiencing the light of faith and redemption? It's hard to imagine, but for many, it's a reality, thanks to the transformative power of Catholicism. Imagine being a person who struggled with addiction, anger, and spiritual emptiness. Then, one day, everything changes. You experience a radical shift that not only frees you from your chains, but fills you with a new purpose. That's the power of the sacraments, the Catholic Church's sacred rituals that offer healing, grace, and transformation. Today, we're diving into the stories of people who have undergone these radical conversions. Former addicts, atheists, and even gang members who found their salvation through the sacraments. Their testimonies are proof that no one is beyond God's reach. By the end of this video, you'll be encouraged to reflect on your own journey and perhaps even open your heart to the transformative power of the Church. Let's talk about the power of a radical conversion. Radical conversions are the core of many Catholic testimonies. These are not mere shifts in behavior, but deep, life-altering transformations that change people from the inside out. It's not just about addiction, recovery, or intellectual belief. It's about a soul-changing encounter with God's grace. It's about recognizing that no matter how far we've fallen, God's love can redeem us. The Bible is filled with stories of radical conversion, like that of St. Paul, who went from being a violent persecutor of Christians to one of the most influential apostles. His dramatic change is detailed in Acts chapter 9, verses 1 through 19, where Saul's vision of Christ on the road to Damascus blinds him and leads to his baptism and mission to spread the gospel. This passage shows that the grace of God is honestly capable of transforming the most hardened hearts and saving people from their deepest sins. But radical conversions aren't just stories from the Bible. They happen every day in the lives of countless people around us. Let's look at a few of them. From addiction to freedom. This is Dany's testimony. Dany's story is one of the most powerful testimonies of redemption. As a teenager, he was caught in the destructive grip of addiction. Heroin, meth, alcohol, nothing was off limits. His days were consumed with chasing the next high, and he was constantly in and out of rehab centers. One night, in the depths of his despair, Dany hit rock bottom. He locked himself in his room, surrounded by drug paraphernalia, feeling utterly hopeless. But then, something changed. He stared at the crucifix on his wall and whispered, "God, if you're real, show me." The next day, a man from a local Catholic parish knocked on his door. "I was sent by God to give you this," the man said, handing Dany a Bible. At first, Dany thought it was a joke, but as he started reading the scriptures, he felt something stir within him, a yearning, a longing for peace. Over the next few months, Dany began attending Mass, just one step at a time. He began receiving the sacrament of reconciliation or confession, where he experienced the joy of being absolved of his sins. Through the grace of the sacraments, especially baptism and Holy Communion, Dany found strength to overcome his addiction. John chapter 8, verse 36 tells us, "So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." Dany's addiction didn't just fade, it was replaced by a new life in Christ. The power of the sacraments. The sacraments are not just rituals, they are powerful tools of grace. They allow us to encounter God in tangible ways, transforming our souls. So let's dive deeper into some of the most significant sacraments and their role in radical conversions. Baptism is often the first step in a person's spiritual transformation. It cleanses the soul from original sin and marks the beginning of a new life. For many, like Carlos, baptism was the turning point. Carlos had been battling addiction for years and was initially skeptical about faith. But when he was baptized, something profound happened. "I didn't know what to expect," Carlos recalls. "But when I came out of the water, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It was as if all the darkness had been washed away." The Eucharist is another sacrament that profoundly impacts a person's spiritual journey. Through the Eucharist, Catholics believe they receive the true body and blood of Christ, which strengthens them to face life's challenges. For addicts like Tommy, the Eucharist was more than just a religious act. It was a source of healing and renewal. Every time I took communion, Tommy shares, I felt a deep peace that I'd never known before. It wasn't just about the bread and wine. It was about receiving the very presence of God into my life. But perhaps the most intimate encounter with God's mercy happens through the sacrament of reconciliation. This sacrament allows individuals to confess their sins and receive absolution. Julie, a former atheist, experienced a profound spiritual shift when she went to confession. I'd been away from God for so long, but when I knelt in the confessional and confessed my sins, it felt like a burden had been lifted from me. I didn't just feel forgiven, I felt loved. Gang member to evangelist Frank's conversion. You know, not all radical conversions come from addiction. Some actually come from a life of violence and sin. Frank, for example, was a member of a notorious gang in the inner city. He had been involved in illegal activities for years and honestly carried a lot of anger and hatred in his heart. But one night, everything changed. Frank found himself in a Catholic church, just seeking refuge from the violence that surrounded him. The silence was overwhelming, Frank recalls. I'd never felt anything like it. I thought I was going crazy, but I knew that something was calling me. I couldn't explain it at the time, but I knew I had to keep coming back. Frank's story kind of mirrors that of St. Augustine, who famously said, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O Lord." Just as Augustine experienced a conversion after a long search for truth, Frank found peace in the Catholic Church. Over time, he began to attend Mass, regularly received the sacraments, and eventually joined a Catholic ministry that works with troubled youth. Frank's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. He went from gang member to evangelist, sharing his story with others who felt lost, just as he had once been. Now let me ask you this. Are you struggling with something in your life that feels impossible to overcome? Maybe it's addiction, doubt, or anger. Maybe you've tried everything, but nothing seems to work. If you're ready for change, the sacraments could be the key. Have you ever considered how God could use the sacraments to transform your life? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you're moved by these incredible stories, hit that like button and share this video with someone who might be struggling. You never know who needs to hear this message today. So, as we've seen today, radical conversions are not just about overcoming addiction or, leaving behind old sins. They're really about becoming new creations in Christ. The sacraments, especially baptism, reconciliation, and the Eucharist, offer us the grace to experience this transformation. Dany, Carlos, Julie, and Frank are living proof that no matter where you've been, God can heal and restore you. Now that you've heard these powerful stories, what will you do to strengthen your faith? Will you take a step forward in receiving the sacraments? Whether it's attending Mass, going to confession, or just praying for guidance, know that God is always waiting with open arms. And while the world offers fleeting pleasures, it's the love of God that brings lasting peace. So step forward in faith and trust that His mercy is greater than any burden you carry. If you've been inspired by these radical transformations, please like, subscribe, and share this video. You never know who needs to hear these stories of redemption. Also, let's talk in the comments below. What part of these testimonies touched your heart the most? Have you seen the power of the sacraments at work in your life? We'd love to hear your story. May God bless you with peace, hope, and the strength to walk in His love. Keep your faith strong and always trust that He is with you, ready to guide you through whatever challenges you face.